Chosen one, lean in for a moment. Let your spirit become still, because what I'm about to tell you is not something delivered lightly. There is a shift around you, subtle to some, but unmistakable to the ones heaven has marked. You can feel it, can't you? A quiet stirring in the atmosphere, a soft pull in your spirit, like something invisible, yet undeniable, began to move. It's as if the air itself has changed texture, becoming heavier with meaning, thicker with purpose, more alive with intention. And whether you fully understand it yet or not, it has everything to do with you. You didn't imagine this feeling. You didn't create it in your mind. Something big has shifted. And heaven wants you to know that it wasn't random, it wasn't accidental, and it wasn't delayed. This shift was scheduled, timed, released at the exact moment your spirit became ready for what your heart has been praying for. You have walked through seasons that tried to silence you. You have endured delays that made you question your worth. You have carried hopes that felt too heavy and dreams that felt too distant. And yet here you are, still listening, still sensitive, still seeking, still open. That alone is proof of who you are, proof of your resilience, proof of your calling, proof that heaven has not only seen your steps, but has honored your endurance with divine timing. Right now, the veil over your next chapter is thinning. The path ahead is beginning to glow in places that once looked dark. You might not see the full picture yet, but you've been feeling the edges of it, little moments of clarity, sudden peace in places where you used to feel pressure, a strange confidence rising in situations that once brought confusion. These are not coincidences. They are indicators, signals that your life has entered a new spiritual alignment. And here's the truth. Heaven is whispering to you now. Your next step is being confirmed, not by people, not by circumstances, not by your emotions, but by God Himself. This is why your spirit feels alert, even when your mind feels unsure. This is why old burdens suddenly feel lighter. This is why things that used to drain you no longer have access to your energy. Something sacred has shifted, and it's pushing you toward the place you were always meant to walk. Stay with me, because in the moments ahead, you will understand exactly what this shift means, why it came now, and what God is preparing you to step into next. And as you sit with that feeling, this sense that something in the unseen has realigned, you may notice your spirit responding in ways your mind hasn't fully caught up with. That is because what's happening in your life right now didn't begin on earth. It began in the courts of heaven. This message is not arriving through coincidence or chance. It is reaching you because God Himself has leaned in your direction and breathed something new over your journey. There are moments when heaven speaks loudly, shaking everything around you. But there are also moments like this, quiet, tender, deliberate, where God chooses to speak directly to your heart, not through thunder, but through stillness. And this is one of those moments. A divine whisper wrapped in clarity, a sacred confirmation wrapped in peace. You need to understand something deeply. God has been watching every step you've taken in this season, every silent cry, every private battle, every moment you held on when walking away might have been easier, every time you surrendered instead of forcing your way, every time you trusted Him even when the timing made no sense. Heaven has kept record of your endurance, and because of that, a divine release has been issued on your behalf. This shift you're feeling did not come from your circumstances becoming easier. It came because God has declared it is time. Time for clarity. Time for movement. Time for the next step that has been waiting for you to spiritually mature into it. You didn't miss your moment. You didn't fall behind. You didn't waste the years. Everything you walked through was preparing your spirit to recognize this shift when it arrived. The reason this message feels different to you is because it is different. It carries the weight of divine timing, the tenderness of God's voice, and the intention of a destiny being activated. God is drawing you into alignment, not with your fears, not with your past, not with the expectations of others, but with the destiny He designed before your first breath. You may have wondered why the last season felt so quiet, why heaven felt slower, why answers seemed delayed. But what looked like stillness was actually God's strategic positioning. He was arranging people behind the scenes. He was removing what your heart didn't have the strength to release yet. He was healing parts of your spirit that you didn't even know were wounded. He was clearing the path so that when this shift arrived, nothing, absolutely nothing, could interfere with the direction He is sending you. And now He is confirming your next step. Not with confusion, not with fear, not with mixed signals, but with a steady, holy confirmation that settles into your spirit like a gentle, bright flame. In the next part of this message, you will see what this divine shift truly means and why God chose this exact moment to reveal what comes next. As this divine shift settles into your spirit, something else begins to unfold, something God has been preparing to reveal to you for a long time. It won't come with fireworks or dramatic outward signs. Instead, it comes like dawn breaking after a long night. Slowly at first, then suddenly, everything becomes clearer. This is the moment heaven unveils what has been held in the unseen. Your next step has already been set in motion. God is not just giving you direction, He is releasing alignment. What this means is profound. The shift you felt was not only a change around you, it was a change for you. Something has opened. Something has been removed. Something has been released. And your spirit sensed it before your mind could articulate it. Picture a path that was once covered in fog, confusing, hidden, uncertain. You could feel there was something ahead, but you couldn't see far enough to move with confidence. Now imagine the fog lifting. Slowly, yes, but undeniably. That's what has begun in your life. The spiritual atmosphere around your journey has cleared just enough for God to reveal the next move. This is not a random improvement. This is prophecy becoming reality. Heaven is saying, the season of waiting on clarity is closing. Your step is ready. For months, maybe years, you have walked with questions. Even when you had faith, there was uncertainty. Even when you had hope, there was hesitation. Even when you believed, you sometimes felt lost between where you were and where you were going. But now, God is unveiling the truth. You were not wandering. You were being positioned. This shift is heaven's confirmation that the path ahead is no longer blocked. The spiritual resistance that once surrounded your next step has been broken. The heaviness that made forward movement difficult is lifting. The pressures that clouded your discernment are dissolving. And what God is revealing now is this. The breakthrough you've been praying for has already begun. Not in a dramatic explosion, but in a quiet, deep rearranging of your spiritual landscape. God has gone before you, making the crooked places straight, smoothing out the rough terrain, and aligning opportunities that once seemed out of reach. You may notice unexpected peace replacing old anxiety. You may sense clarity where there used to be confusion. You may find yourself feeling drawn towards something you couldn't see clearly before. You may feel a growing boldness, a deeper trust, a surprising calm. These are signs that the prophecy is unfolding. God is confirming the direction of your next step, not through loud signs, but through the gentle alignment of your inner world. He is making your spirit aware before your circumstances catch up. And here is the heart of what's being revealed. Your life just crossed into a new spiritual territory, not physically, but spiritually. A door has opened. A passageway has unlocked. An assignment that was once sealed has now been released. And although it may still look ordinary on the outside, your spirit knows something extraordinary has begun. This is why you've felt unusually reflective, unusually sensitive to God's voice, unusually aware of subtle changes. Heaven has been whispering, "Pay attention. I am guiding you." The shift is not just around you, it is in you. A deeper courage, a renewed hope, a sense of destiny waking up again. A clarity in your spirit that doesn't match the circumstances yet, but soon will. This is the unveiling. You are stepping into a phase where God is confirming, guiding, aligning, and revealing with greater ease than before. What once required heavy discernment will now become clearer with less effort. What once felt delayed will now move with divine acceleration. What once felt blocked will now open effortlessly, because the shift wasn't about circumstances changing first. It was about you being prepared. The prophecy is simple, yet profound. God has shifted your season so He can reveal your next step. And the unveiling has already begun. What comes next will make everything suddenly make sense. When God unveils a shift like this, quiet yet powerful, gentle, yet undeniable, it is never just about a moment. It is about meaning. Every divine movement carries layers of spiritual depth. And what you are experiencing now is no exception. This shift is not simply a new chapter. It is a revelation of who you are, where you're going, and who God has shaped you to become through every hidden season you've endured. To understand the weight of this moment, you must first recognize that God never shifts a season without shifting the soul of the one who will walk through it. The change you sensed didn't begin externally, it began within you. Your spirit softened in places it was once guarded. Your vision sharpened where it used to be clouded. Your faith stretched in ways that quietly rewired your capacity to receive. This inner transformation is not incidental. It is intentional. Heaven prepares the vessel before releasing the assignment. Think of your journey like a seed buried in the soil. For months, perhaps years, you felt earth pressing around you. Pressure, darkness, isolation, stillness. It seemed like nothing was happening. But beneath the surface, roots were forming, strengthening, anchoring, preparing you for a moment you could not yet see. And now, the soil has shifted. Light is reaching places it once couldn't. What was hidden is starting to rise. This is the spiritual meaning of the shift you're sensing. You are emerging into the season you were being prepared for. Another layer of meaning lies in the way God aligns timing with transformation. Divine timing is not simply about when something happens. It is about when you are ready to carry it. You prayed for clarity in earlier seasons, but your heart wasn't fully healed yet. You sought direction before your discernment was mature enough to recognize God's voice over your own desires. You longed for acceleration while your foundation was still being built. The delay wasn't rejection, it was protection. God waited until your spirit could walk with the weight of the next step without collapsing under it. And this is why the shift feels so holy. Because it arrived at the moment heaven knew you were ready. Not perfect, not fearless, not fully confident, but spiritually steady, surrendered and aligned enough to recognize His whisper. There is also deep spiritual symbolism in the way this shift came. It didn't arrive through chaos or loud signs. It arrived through peace. A peace that doesn't make logical sense. A peace that doesn't match your circumstances. A peace that sits quietly in your chest as though it has lived there all along. This peace is not emotional. It is prophetic. Peace is God's seal, His signature, His confirmation that He is in the movement. In Scripture, God often revealed the next step, not through noise, but through stillness. A whisper to Elijah, a dream to Joseph, a gentle leading to Samuel, a quiet stirring to Mary, a silent assurance in the hearts of the disciples. This is the same voice speaking to you now, subtle yet unmistakable, soft, yet commanding, quiet, yet unshakably clear. The shift also carries the meaning of separation, not from people as punishment, but from environments that no longer align with where God is taking you. Sometimes God closes doors not to frustrate you, but to free you. Sometimes He removes certain voices so you can hear Him more clearly. Sometimes He ends a season so you won't settle where you were never meant to stay. If relationships changed, if desires shifted, if old interests faded, if familiar places no longer feel like home, these are spiritual indicators, not emotional malfunctions. God is pruning you for purpose, not punishing you. Another layer of meaning lies in divine positioning. What you sensed as restlessness or discomfort in the previous season was the spiritual equivalent of God gently lifting you out of one environment and placing you into another. You weren't stuck, you were being repositioned. You weren't losing interest, you were being redirected. You weren't drifting, you were being aligned. God often rearranges the inner world before He moves the outer world. There is also meaning in the timing of this revelation. You are not hearing this message too early or too late. You are hearing it at the exact intersection of readiness and purpose. Heaven orchestrated this moment because something in your spirit right now is capable of receiving what would have overwhelmed you in the past. This is divine synchronization, God aligning your inner maturity with His outer plan. And perhaps the most profound meaning of all is this: God trusts you. He trusts your obedience. He trusts your sensitivity to His voice. He trusts your willingness to step even when the path is not fully visible. He trusts your heart more than you trust yourself. This shift is His way of saying, "You are ready. Walk with me." The depth behind this moment is vast, sacred, and transformative. And soon the signs around you will begin to confirm what your spirit already knows. As the spiritual meaning of this shift settles into your heart, God begins to reveal the confirmations, subtle, personal, and unmistakably divine. These signs are not meant to overwhelm you, but to reassure you that what you've been sensing is real. Heaven never ushers in a new step without leaving traces of its movement. And in your life right now, those traces are starting to appear. The first confirmation is a sudden, unexplainable peace. Not a peace that comes from circumstances improving, but a peace that rests in your spirit, even when everything around you still looks the same. This peace is gentle, yet persistent. It doesn't shout, but it also doesn't leave. You may wake up with a calm that feels foreign, or find yourself responding to situations with a steadiness that surprises you. This is not emotional numbness. It is divine assurance. God is saying, "I am with you in this step." The second sign is a renewed sensitivity to God's voice. You may find yourself noticing things you once overlooked, scriptures speaking louder, small moments carrying deeper meaning, random thoughts feeling divinely inspired. You might feel nudges at unexpected times, or clarity rising in places where there was once confusion. This increased awareness isn't accidental. It's God tuning your spirit to hear Him more clearly as He guides you into what's next. A third confirmation is the release of old burdens. You may suddenly lose interest in things you once felt tied to relationships that drained you, habits that limited you, environments that no longer align with your spirit. What used to stir anxiety now feels distant. What used to pull you backward now loses its hold. This release is not emotional detachment, it is divine pruning. The shift requires space, and God is gently removing what cannot go with you. A fourth sign is unexpected clarity in moments of quiet. Not clarity that comes from thinking harder, but clarity that arrives naturally while sitting in silence, walking alone, or simply breathing. Insights rise without effort. Answers form without force. You suddenly know things without knowing how. This clarity is prophetic. God is illuminating the path one piece at a time, A fifth confirmation is a sense of internal acceleration. Even if your outer life seems still, your spirit feels like it's moving. Ideas come faster. Vision feels sharper. Desire to move forward becomes stronger. You may feel ready in ways you didn't before. This is the spiritual sign that your season of stagnation is ending. Heaven is pushing you gently but firmly toward your next step. And a sixth sign, one of the most powerful, is the appearance of divine alignment. Small opportunities begin opening. Right people show up. Wrong situations fall away. Conversations happen at perfect moments. Doors that were shut suddenly shift. Nothing dramatic, but everything significant. These alignments are heaven's way of organizing the natural world around your spiritual readiness. These signs are not coincidences. They are confirmations. Evidence that God has already positioned your next step in front of you and is now guiding you toward it with intentional precision. You are not imagining these shifts. You are not overthinking them. You are not being dramatic. You are being led. And with every sign, God is whispering, "Move with me. I am guiding you into what I have prepared." But even with divine confirmation, every chosen one must walk through challenges before crossing into fulfillment. And that is where your journey continues next. Even with all the confirmations surrounding this divine shift, there is something important you must understand. Every new step, every elevation, every spiritual opening comes with challenges that cannot be seen at first glance. These are not punishments. They are not signs of a failure. They are not warnings that you're on the wrong path. They are the spiritual resistance that naturally rises when heaven begins to move you forward. And right now, God wants you to recognize these hidden challenges, not to fear them, but to face them with the strength you have gained in the previous season. The first challenge is spiritual interference disguised as doubt. When you begin stepping into clarity, the enemy often tries to cloud your mind. Old insecurities may resurface. Questions you thought you outgrew may try to revisit your spirit. You might find yourself briefly wondering if you're hearing God correctly, or if the shift is just in your head. These doubts are not indicators of misdirection. They are attempts to shake your confidence right when heaven is confirming your step. Recognize them. Do not bow to them. They cannot stop you unless you agree with them. The second challenge is unexpected emotional turbulence. Sometimes right before stepping into a new spiritual phase, old emotions rise to the surface, not because you're regressing, but because you're releasing. You might feel moments of heaviness, restlessness, or sudden reflection. You may find yourself revisiting past experiences or noticing old wounds more clearly. This is not chaos. It is cleansing. God is emptying what cannot go with you. Let the emotions pass like waves. They are not your identity. They are part of your preparation. The third challenge is temporary isolation. When God shifts your path, not everyone can walk with you. You may feel a sudden disconnect from people who once felt close. Conversations may feel different. Connections may loosen. You might find yourself alone more often. But this isolation is holy. It is God setting you apart so you can hear Him without interference. The quiet is not abandonment, it's refinement. Heaven often speaks loudest in the places where the world grows silent. Another hidden challenge is a brief pause in external progress. Sometimes right after a divine shift, things on the outside appear still. Nothing seems to change. Opportunities seem slow. Movement feels limited. But spiritually, this is the moment of alignment, where God is rearranging what you cannot see. Do not mistake stillness for stagnation. The seed is sprouting even when the soil looks unchanged. A fifth challenge is internal stretching. You may feel yourself being pulled out of old comfort zones into thoughts, desires, or responsibilities that feel new and slightly unfamiliar. This stretching is not a mistake, it's growth. God is shaping your mindset to match the step He's preparing you to take. And the final hidden challenge is spiritual pressure. You may feel a weight not heavy, but present. A sense of something is happening. A pressure not meant to crush you, but to guide you. This is the weight of purpose settling onto your shoulders. It is the sign that heaven is trusting you with more. None of these challenges are signs to stop. They are signs you're close. So close that the spirit world can already feel the movement. These challenges arrive not to hinder you, but to strengthen the foundation beneath your next step. And now, with clarity and understanding, God is ready to guide you forward with divine instruction. Now that the challenges have been revealed not to frighten you, but to prepare you, you are ready for what heaven is releasing next. Every divine shift comes with divine instruction. Not because God wants to burden you, but because He wants to guide you with clarity, protection, and purpose. These instructions are not heavy. They are gentle, sacred, and deeply personal. And as they unfold, you will recognize that they align perfectly with what your spirit has been sensing. The first instruction is to move slowly, but intentionally. This is not the season to rush, nor is it the season to hesitate. God is calling you into a pace that is steady and spirit-led. You don't need to sprint into the next step. You only need to take it. One movement at a time. One decision at a time. One yes at a time. The shift has already occurred. Your role now is to walk with awareness. God is saying, follow me, not the pressure. Trust the timing. Trust the ease. Trust the quiet confirmations. The second instruction is to guard your inner atmosphere. As God aligns your path, the enemy will attempt to disrupt your inner world, your peace, your clarity, your sensitivity. Protect your spirit the way you would protect a flame in the wind. Be mindful of conversations that discourage you. Limit exposure to voices that stir fear or confusion. Distance yourself from environments that pull you backward. This is a holy moment in your life, and God is calling you to create spiritual stillness so His guidance can land clearly. Your inner atmosphere determines your ability to hear His voice. The third instruction is to say yes to the small steps. Many people wait for big doors, dramatic moments, or obvious signs. But God often confirms the next step with something simple, an idea, a nudge, an opportunity that seems small at first glance. Do not dismiss the gentle beginnings. The small step you take now will unlock the larger movement that follows. God is saying, if you trust me in the little, I will reveal the much. The fourth instruction is to honor the peace you feel. Peace is not passive. Peace is prophetic. When God gives peace about something, it is His way of marking it. And when He removes peace, it is His way of redirecting you. In this next season, peace will be your compass. If your spirit rests, well. If your spirit tightens, pause. You do not need external validation when heaven has already settled assurance in your heart. The fifth instruction is to release what no longer matches your calling. This may be the hardest step, but also the most necessary. Some habits, attachments, mindsets, or even relationships are tied to the previous version of you. And God is calling the present version of you into alignment with your destiny. Let go with grace, not out of bitterness, not out of pride, but out of obedience. When you release what cannot stay, you make room for what must enter. The sixth instruction is to remain spiritually alert. God is moving pieces behind the scenes, opening doors, shifting relationships, redirecting paths, aligning timing. Pay attention to what changes, what closes, what opens, what feels different. Nothing in this season will be random. Every movement carries meaning. Heaven is actively guiding you, and your awareness will allow you to recognize divine cues when they appear. Another instruction one of the most important is to speak life over your path. Your words carry spiritual authority. Speak clarity. Speak alignment. Speak confidence. Speak trust. Speak gratitude. Heaven responds to faith-filled words. God is calling you to partner with Him by declaring what He has already begun. Not because He needs your permission, but because your words strengthen your spirit for the journey. And the final instruction is this: walk as if the promise is already unfolding, because it is. Not with arrogance, but with quiet assurance. Not with fear, but with steady faith. Not with desperation, but with divine confidence. You are stepping into a season where God will confirm your movements in ways you've never experienced before. The path will illuminate step by step. The insight will deepen. The clarity will continue to grow, and your spirit will recognize each confirmation like a familiar voice calling your name. These instructions are not rules, they are invitations. Invitations to walk closer with God. Invitations to align with this shift. Invitations to prepare your heart for what is coming, because what is coming is not small. And now heaven begins to wrap you in something even deeper: protection assurance and divine covering for the steps ahead. As you prepare to walk into this next step with intention and reverence, heaven wants to cover you with something essential: divine protection and divine assurance. Every chosen one who steps into a new spiritual phase is surrounded not only by purpose, but by a shield that cannot be seen with natural eyes. And right now, that shield is wrapping itself around your life in a deeper and more noticeable way. You may not realize it, but you have already felt this protection. It reveals itself in subtle ways, moments when you should have fallen, but didn't, situations that could have broken you, but somehow strengthened you. Instead, connections that ended before they could harm you, paths that closed, though you didn't yet understand why. These were not coincidences. They were interventions. God stepped in quietly, redirecting what your heart wasn't ready to release and removing what your spirit couldn't carry. And now, as you step into greater clarity, that same divine protection increases. The first layer of protection God places over you in this season is the guarding of your spirit. You will find that things which used to disturb you no longer hold power. Negative words will fall flat. Old fears will feel weaker. Confusion that once clouded your thoughts will lose its grip. This is God reinforcing your inner world, ensuring that nothing can infiltrate the peace He has given you. You are not fragile. You are fortified. The second layer of protection is divine distancing. There are people God has quietly moved out of your life, not because you are unworthy of them or because they are evil, but because your next step requires spiritual clarity they cannot provide. When God elevates you, He often cleans the atmosphere around you. Relationships shift. Conversations change. Circles tighten. This distancing may feel lonely at first, but it is holy ground. God is positioning you where His voice will not have to compete with noise. The third form of protection is angelic assignment. Your path is guarded by more than intuition and wisdom. Heaven has literally positioned spiritual protection around you, the kind that shields you from attacks you never saw, dangers that never reached you, and traps that quietly dissolved before you walked into them. This covering is not symbolic, it is real. You are surrounded by divine presence as you move into this next step. And then there is the fourth layer of protection, the assurance of God's presence. Not the kind of presence you feel only during prayer or worship, but a steady nearness that follows you into ordinary moments. You may notice yourself feeling calm in situations that once caused anxiety. You may feel guided even in decisions that used to overwhelm you. You may sense that you're not moving alone, and that feeling is right. God is walking with you step by step, breath by breath. Not from a distance, but at your side. And finally, there is the protection of alignment. When God aligns your steps, nothing, no force, no person, no circumstance can interfere with what He has ordained. What He opens cannot be shut. What He seals cannot be stolen. What He blesses cannot be blocked. You are walking into a path heaven has already cleared. This assurance is God's way of preparing your heart for the transformation that is coming. Because what you are about to step into will not just shift your season, it will shift you. As God surrounds you with protection and assurance, something profound begins to take shape within you. Transformation. Not a surface-level change, not a momentary spark, but a deep spiritual shift that alters the way you see yourself, your purpose, and the path ahead. What you are stepping into is not simply a new season. It is a new version of you, one heaven has been patiently shaping through every trial, every delay, every hidden moment of your journey. You may not fully recognize it yet, but the transformation has already begun. It starts quietly, almost imperceptibly. A softening of your heart, a strengthening of your resolve, a clarity that rises like morning light, a courage you didn't know you possessed. You begin to feel different on the inside before anything changes on the outside. This is how God works. He transforms the inner world before He manifests the outer fulfillment. And the fulfillment that is approaching is unlike anything you've walked into before. The first sign of this transformation is your renewed identity. You no longer see yourself through the lens of past pain or past limitations. You sense a shift in the way you think, decide, and respond. You recognize your worth more clearly. You feel a growing awareness that God has chosen you not because you are perfect, but because you are willing, surrendered, and aligned. This identity shift is not arrogance. It is acceptance of who heaven says you are. The second sign is a rise in spiritual confidence. Not confidence in your own strength, but confidence in God's guidance. You begin to move with quiet boldness, trusting the nudge following the peace-taking steps that once felt intimidating. The fears that used to paralyze you no longer hold the same power. This confidence is evidence of fulfillment approaching your spirit, is preparing for what your life will soon reflect. The third sign is the breakthrough within your perspective. Where you once saw obstacles, you now see opportunities. Where you once saw endings, you now see redirection. Where you once felt stuck, you now sense movement. God has shifted the lenses through which you interpret your journey, and this new perspective becomes the foundation for the next phase of your destiny. And then comes the fourth sign, the one that marks the threshold of fulfillment. Your spirit begins to anticipate change before it arrives. This anticipation is not anxiety. It is not impatience. It is spiritual recognition. Your inner world senses the nearness of what God has been preparing. You don't know the full shape of it yet, but you know it's coming. This is heaven's way of preparing you emotionally and spiritually, so that when the fulfillment arrives, you will be ready to carry it. As this transformation deepens, the fulfillment God has promised begins revealing itself in subtle yet powerful ways. Doors open with ease. People arrive at the right time. Resources align where there once was lack. Opportunities appear that match your calling. Clarity grows stronger each day. Peace becomes your confirmation. And slowly, the life you once prayed for begins to align with the person you have become. This fulfillment is not about material gain or worldly recognition, though blessings may come. The true fulfillment is spiritual. It is the realization that you have stepped into what God designed you for, that you are living from a place of alignment, purpose, and destiny. You will notice that the weight you once carried no longer feels heavy. You will notice that what used to break you now builds you. You will notice that the confusion you once wrestled with dissolves into clarity. You will notice that your steps feel guided, your choices feel sharper, and your heart feels lighter. This is fulfillment. Not the end of the journey, but the beginning of walking in what God has ordained. And now, as this sacred transformation settles fully into your spirit, heaven prepares to seal this word in your heart with affirmation, blessing, and spiritual covering. Now that the message has unfolded, each layer revealing the divine shift, the guidance, the protection, the transformation. It is time to seal this word over your spirit, not with fear, not with pressure, but with affirmation, blessing, and the gentle certainty that God is walking with you into what comes next. These final moments are sacred. Heaven is leaning close, your spirit is open, and God is ready to imprint this truth deep within you. Before the blessings, speak these affirmations aloud or quietly in your heart. They are simple, but they carry power. They align your mind and spirit with what God has already begun. Affirmation 1. I am aligned with God's timing, and I trust the step He is revealing. Say it slowly. Let it rest inside you. This affirmation settles the anxious parts of your spirit and brings your heart into unity with divine timing. You are no longer walking ahead of God or behind Him. You are walking with Him. Affirmation 2. What is meant for me is already unfolding, and I move forward with peace. This affirmation reminds you that fulfillment isn't far away. It's already in motion. You don't need to force anything. You don't need to chase anything. You simply need to remain present, peaceful, and receptive. Affirmation 3. I am protected, guided, and covered as I step into my next chapter. Let this truth strengthen you. You are not stepping into the unknown alone. Heaven surrounds you. Angels walk beside you. God goes before you. You are shielded in ways you cannot yet see. Affirmation 4. My spirit is ready, my path is clear, and my purpose is awakening. This is the affirmation of emergence. The recognition that the old version of you has been shed and the new one is stepping forward with clarity, strength, and destiny. Pause. Breathe. Feel these words settle like warm light within you. Now receive this blessing, 1001. May the peace of God rest gently on your heart, calming every worry and settling every question. May His presence walk beside you, through every step illuminating your path with clarity and wisdom. May His protection surround you like a shield, guarding your mind, your spirit, and your purpose. May His voice speak softly to you in moments of stillness, guiding you with tenderness and truth. May every door that aligns with your destiny open with ease, and may every door not meant for you close gently without confusion. May your spirit remain sensitive, your heart remain steady, and your faith remain unshakable as you step into this new phase of your journey. And may you feel deep within your soul the certainty that God has shifted your season, aligned your path, and confirmed your next step. You are not stepping blindly. You are stepping boldly, faithfully, and prophetically into what heaven has prepared for you. This word is sealed over you now in peace and purpose and in divine timing. Amen.